You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Thank you to those that are watching on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel live, and those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for all of our reels and other short content as well. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the IceDogs' 5-4 defeat at the hands of the Erie Otters, and the losing streak continues with the London Knights coming in here on Saturday night. We had 3,544 in the building tonight for the geographical rivalry game against the Erie Otters, where the IceDogs have actually, the last win came against Erie, and they've played the Otters pretty well this year. A lot of close games. 2 games have gone to shootouts as well. Cam, a 1-1, 0-2 record against the Otters this season. For whatever reason, it seems like just because of the rivalry, but where these two teams are, I know they were missing Malcolm Spence, Kerry Torrance, and Matthew Schaefer tonight. But very evenly matched and always entertaining games between these two clubs.
Oh, for sure. In terms of the point output for both teams, they're almost identical. 62 points in the standings for Erie. Niagara currently sitting at 61. I think that this game kind of epitomizes the situation the IceDogs are in right now. They are just going through it, and unfortunately, what we talked about all year about just avoiding this kind of situation, it just so happens to be that it's happening kind of at the worst part of the season as they kind of look to limp into the playoffs. After such a great 3 months to start the season, they have now gone over a month without a win, which is just absolutely brutal, no doubt, and they've got to be battling not just on the ice but in the locker room as well. Hard to keep the vibes up when you're struggling like this.
Absolutely. We'll get into all of it, as well as hear from head coach Ben Boudreau and the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame with his thoughts on his team's performance. We'll get things started here with our prep list, brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You tried the rest, now why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving the Niagara community since 2013. Check them out at carmine'spizzeria.ca for the best pizza and wing combos anywhere in Niagara. Cam, break down the IceDogs lineup for us tonight.
Well, they actually had a full lineup, essentially, without Owen Flores, unfortunately, which more than likely was kind of the difference in this one, unfortunately. But forward line, the first line started with Kevin Sidorian and Matthew Paris. Was strong throughout. I think the frustrating part about this game is that for the majority of it, the IceDogs were really, really well in hand in terms of controlling play and shots, especially in the first 2 periods. But second line of Robrick, Zada, and Waslin, which has quickly become kind of their go-to offensive line. I think Kevin has slowed down a little bit offensively, but Asadorian and Paris coming back have been huge for this team, and finally getting to see the team at full strength in terms of the defense and offense gives them a strong chance to win every night. The issue is, I think, just the situation in net right now, losing Owen Flores, which is the backbone of the team, and it's going through it right now. Matt Humphreys has done a good job for the majority. He's thrust into a really tough situation as a rookie, especially because I think that he is the future in net for the team, but He's, confidence can't be high right now, and in net, that's kind of everything. So especially when you're a young goaltender and you don't have a lot to call on, it's going to be tough for him to kind of get through this, and he's going to be under siege on Saturday against London.
And Erie missing 3 key members tonight. They had to kind of shuffle things up. Did anything stand out to you from Erie's side? I know they had Erliden in net.
Well, yeah, Charlie Burns backing him up, former Niagara IceDog. Obviously missing the big 3, Terrence as well as Schaefer and Spence. That's a lineup that this IceDog team specifically needs to be able to handle. And like I mentioned, for the majority, they come out with one of their best periods they've had in a long time, a 3-0 lead in the first period. Now with Humphreys in net, you think that maybe, hey, now we can kind of clamp down, become a shell a little bit, and try to protect this lead. But just not how it goes sometimes. Some rough shots get through, and they battle all the way back. And you could tell that, again, because of the situation the IceDogs have put them in with 11 straight losses coming into this game, the confidence top to bottom is just not very high. But I thought that there was a lot of good tonight. Kevin was fantastic. I thought he was all over the ice. Finally got a goal. He's been again struggling in the second half of the season offensively a little bit, but Gallianov gets on the board as well, so he had some depth scoring. It's tough because the lineup in terms of forward and defense is now back to full health. I think the important thing is to just try and remain healthy as best they can, as they've 10 games remaining. So stay healthy and give themselves a shot at in the first round of the playoffs.
Get into our game stats tonight, brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Not just a gas station or a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales with multiple locations across Niagara. Cam, this almost felt like a tale of 2 games, especially that second period. IceDogs and Otters, 14 shots apiece in the first. We'll get to the goal summary a little bit there, but the IceDogs get out to a lead, and then the second period, they get outshot 14-5 by the Otters. They come back with 8-6 in the third for a total of 34-27 in favor of the Otters, but that second period was really telling.
To be honest with you, I think that, shots aside, they forced the Otters to shoot from the perimeter. They let Humphrey see as much as he could. I think the real issue in this one was just the goals that were let in. Humphreys, if you haven't seen it, it's going to be all over social media. Made one of the saves of the season, and he made another one on a 2-on-0 essentially as well. So it's not like Humphreys played poorly. It's just that with the situation that the team is in right now, they are on a massive losing streak. They really are just fighting it top to bottom. You get out to the 3-0 lead, and the first goal the Erie Otters scored was tough. You're not many goalies in the OHL are going to be able to stop that, but the second and third one, pretty deflating. Definitely ones that Humphreys wants back, and again, the rest of the team just kind of battling it. And when you're not getting kind of bailed out on when in this situation, this is when you tend to struggle the most. And they fought all the way to the end of the game, but unfortunately just came up a little bit short.
Power plays tonight. This one was very lopsided. Niagara got into some penalty trouble that cost them in the end of really having a chance to get that game tied with the goal he pulled with, you'd see, with full 2 minutes because they took a late penalty. But 1 for 7 for Erie, so Niagara does a good job on the PK.
Yeah.
6 for 7. They go 0 for 2 on their 2 power plays tonight. Anything stand out to you from the specialty teams?
Well, the problem is that, some of the calls, again, you can argue, but that's in every game. I think that it was, again, the timing of the penalties, the 5-on-3 that Asadorian took. He was just trying to be hard on the forecheck, on the penalty kill. That's a penalty you can't take. And, again, it put them down to, a 5-on-3 essentially. And, again, with the way the game was going, that's just awfully tough regardless of the lineup and who they're missing. And that's just that really is the story of the game, right? Like, I think all things considered, if Owen Flores is in net, this might be a little bit of a different story, but that, you can't just always rely on that now. And I think, in all honesty, this stretch, if it's taught us anything, especially these last few games, it's that going into next year, when it's really the IceDogs championship window, really, to try and make a real run at the OHL championship. And I think that the thing that they need to learn, or they've learned for sure, is that they can't have a spot in the lineup that is so absolutely devastated if there is an injury. And we praise them for not making any moves Unfortunately, the Charlie Robinson situation, he isn't able to back up Flores. Flores goes down, and now you've got a 16-year-old rookie who is thrown into a situation where they were already on essentially a 5-game losing streak, trying to get his first win and just build some confidence. And if there's a difference between being a forward or a defenseman at 16, there's a far bigger difference being a goaltender at 16.
Yeah, and limping right now to the home stretch here is not something that we expected. But again, if they were at the bottom and worked their way back up to this point, we would have a different narrative on the way things are going. But when they started off so hot in the first half, and you're at the top of the conference, and now they're falling to where probably they should be, it's just a different feeling than if they would have sprung together some wins to get to this point.
Again, we go back to the beginning of the season in the training camp, and in the very first episode that we had this season, if you would have said that they were in 6th place comfortably and going to make the playoffs, we would have taken that. Again, the 2.5 months where they were in first in the Eastern Conference, obviously a little bit of an aberration, but I think that time was still good for the development of the team.
Yeah, so Matthew Humphreys did make one of those saves of the night there.
Couple, that 2-on-0 was nuts too. And
shorthanded, actually, IceDogs had a few chances. Kevin He and Alex Asadorian both had shorthanded chances, just weren't able to connect on those. Face-offs 32-31 in favor of the IceDogs, actually. Their best face-off men tonight was Ethan Zada at 12 of 24, Loshko 10 of 20.
He was going up with Fosta, or going up against Panophemis, too, who's been really good on the draws.
15 of 28 for former IceDog Panophemis in his final game here in Meridian Centre. Loshko 10 of 18, and Kevin He actually took 12 face-offs tonight. Won 7 of them. So for a guy that's a winger, I guess Kevin just coming in there and doing what he can.
And there was a couple times Kevin had a great game. I think that he had a real captain game. He was finishing checks, but he had some plays on the back check that were just only. There's very few players in the OHL that could have made that just based on the speed required. So he had a very strong game as well, trying to just drag his team out of this funk.
And we'll get to our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Another returnee, Matthew Paris, who's now got 4 points in 4 games since being back, gets the goal. Alex Asadorian and Brady Wasslin with the assists on that one to get the IceDogs the lead there. It was that wrist shot from the high slot. I thought it might have hit an Erie defender in front. You said that he just picked that corner with traffic in front, but a good opening goal.
Yeah, again, when you have the full complement of forwards that they have, the IceDogs have a pretty deep team offensively in comparison to some of the others. And, yeah, just a nasty shot low far side. We kind of had a really good angle at taking a look at it and able to get up one. Paris being back, again, super underrated. We didn't realize how important he was, and him and Asadorian back is huge.
15 points in 20 games for Matthew Paris this season, obviously in a limited capacity. Then Kevin He gets the monkey off the back with his 28th goal of the season. That was a weird play because they had Erliden scrambling around back and forth. The IceDogs had about 4 or 5 opportunities, couldn't put it in before Kevin He got the puck from the pass from behind the net and was able to get that one past Erliden to give them a 2-0 lead.
Robrick made an unbelievable play to bat the puck to keep it on his stick. He batted it over another player's stick and was able to find Kevin in just a crazy sequence of events, and Kevin made a shot that very few players can. Just snuck it in upstairs, and yeah, they had the goalie chasing around. They had a couple opportunities in that situation, but the play that Roberg made to be able to assist on that one was huge, and yeah, great. Like you mentioned, getting the monkey off the back for Kevin, he was able to get back on the board.
Yeah, he really needed that one. And another guy that needed some confidence was Mike Levin. Great pass from Sean Doherty in the slot there to find him backdoor on the right side, and he buries it. I believe it went post in. I thought I heard post, or it could have been crossbar, but he's able to sneak that in underneath Erliden to give the IceDogs a 3-0 lead in the first period. Couldn't have dreamed for a better start.
I know, that's what's really tough about this one, right? Like when you do all of the right things, the thing about hockey is that it's such a momentum sport, and that's really what happened in this one, in my opinion. I think that, they had the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game, they couldn't make a pass or couldn't get past the red line. And I was starting to think, I'm like, man, this is going to be ugly. But then after that first 2 or 3 minutes, like it was all IceDogs, and they had it really looked like, okay, finally they figured something out here, and they're back to scoring a ton. But it just, wasn't enough.
and I believe in 7 of their 11 games during the streak, they've gone down 3-0. So they had a 3-0 lead, kind of exiled those demons of having a bad start and giving themselves, not much of a runway to be able to play with there. So you would honestly hope that that is something that they take into, Saturday against London is going to be tough, but they were able to finally get some goals in the first period, which is something that they've been lacking as of late.
Crazy stat. In games in which they have scored 3 goals or fewer, they are 4-25. In games in which they have scored 4 goals or more, they are 23-5. So, they get to 4 tonight. But that was based on, battling back a little bit there. And, again, the shorthanded one, that Galliano one was nasty, but nonetheless, it appears that, they have a threshold in which they have to outscore the defensive problems. And now, the decor hasn't changed, right? So the defensive issues, they don't show themselves every game. But, for example, the breakaways, you can't blame Humphreys on that goal specifically, but Flores finds a way sometimes to bail him out in that situation, right? And it's the timing of the goals that they gave up and how they went in that is just awfully tough, because again, when you have a team that just can't score, they've been going through it, they're trailing every game, to finally get that 3-0 lead, to see it evaporate like that is just real tough.
Yeah, and that's something that he's just going to have to learn from experience. Like you can't blame Humphreys on that. He did make a breakaway save, but again, just the experience of these big timely moments is where you need your starting goaltender right now to come up and really save them, which to me during this stretch, I think it just points out how important Owen Flores was to the first half of the season, because the IceDogs were still giving up the most shots in the Ontario Hockey League, and he had the most saves in the league. Matthew Humphreys is facing a lot as well here during this this slide here.
The danger you're running into here, because they have 10 more games. So Humphreys has been in 7, I believe.
Yeah, Hayden Jeffrey got the start last night in Owen Sound.
17 games total. Let's say he plays it out. I don't know if he will, but let's say he gets to 15 games. That's a brutal start to his career. And the thing about goaltenders is, again, all about confidence. And the thing about Flores, he gives up a ton of goals, but that's because he faces 50 shots. And his save percentage, while his goals against average is something that, wouldn't be that impressive if you were just looking at the stats, his save percentage almost 900, which is crazy when you consider the amount of goals that the IceDogs give up. They're most in the league, or second, I believe it's most in the league, actually.
Yeah.
So that's really the difference, and I think that highlights an issue that they are going to have to address in the offseason, because Flores is an overager, and that's really it. But I think when he comes back, that's the thing. I think the timing of this is, let's say this plays out for the rest of the season. We don't know when exactly Owen Flores is coming back, but it does look like he's going to be back for the playoffs. The slate wipes clean, and you've got a goaltender that just is going to get his first playoff action. But the thing I want to mention about Humphreys, though, is that he's going to be on the team next year, and I just hope that it doesn't derail his career.
Yeah,
it's hard. You're not confident. 16-year-old goaltender that doesn't, when you look at championship teams that don't have a 19-year-old goaltender very rarely do well. It's very difficult to do that, and he's just thrust into a position that there's no options. There's literally no options.
And you saw Brampton go out and get Braden Gillespie to help Jack Ivankovic, because even as a 17-year-old,
exactly. And Ivankovic's the highest touted prospect in the league in terms of goaltenders outside of Carter George, right? So
yeah, and even the goalie from London as well.
Oh, yeah.
Medvedev,
too. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
But, it's just you got to hope that he keeps his head high and that confidence going forward. Any of the 5 goals you want to touch on that the Otters got here? They got the one late in the first period to Messier's goal. That was big because it got them back within one.
You can't do anything about. That was Humphreys made 2 saves, and it was the 3rd rebound. They couldn't clear the puck out, right? The whole first period, I thought the IceDogs did well in the offensive zone, but they really struggled with coughing the puck up, in their own zone, and that's something that they can't do. And it just looks like everyone's kind of gripping their sticks. They're not confident, and when you have a 12-game losing streak, that's just what happens, right? And it almost felt like they're just looking for luck, But on that goal, yeah, he made a couple of saves, and then finally it popped out, and it was just a shot right under the bar. It was the next 2 that that needs to be stopped. If Flores was in net, I would expect to hear Ben be very clear that those are 2 goals that need to be saved. And again, now they battle back 3-3. If he makes one of those saves and it's 3-2 going into the third, maybe a little bit of a different story, right?
Yeah, Mishiak gets the next 2 goals for Erie to make it a 4-3 game, to have them come all the way back before Pano-Femus with the power play goal.
Nothing to do on Famous' shot. That was gross. That was Femus against Niagara his whole career now. That
was his final hurrah, I guess, in this building, that power play goal. Erie had another goal that was waved off after Humphreys was run into, and then the puck went in, so that goal got called back. Again, unfortunate plays for Niagara here. It kind of imploded. They gave up an early goal in the second, an early goal in the third.
Common theme the whole season.
And then Ivan Galyanov just came down the left wing and took a shot that I think just kind of fooled Erliden on the glove side, which was their second goal on that glove side on Erliden tonight. So that was a shorthanded goal from Andre Loshko to at least get the IceDogs back within striking distance before they took another late penalty and then couldn't get the goal with the goalie pulled. There was some discrepancy on the time and everything like that and dropping the puck, so it took a little bit longer than it should have, but the IceDogs fall 5-4.
They battled hard. I'm not upset. If this wasn't in the midst of a 12-game losing streak, I'm not really upset with this loss. The team played well enough to win. They just didn't get the saves, and that's hockey.
Yeah, it is. So the IceDogs fall 5-4 here on home ice to the Erie Otters. They'll play the London Knights here on Saturday. They'll also get the Erie Otters one more time in Erie on March 15th to close out the series against their geographical rivals. But we'll get more post-game. We'll hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the other side, as well as get Cam's player of the game. So stay right here. We're right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today. Because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gale's! Learn more at gales.ca.
Did you know that the Global Pet Food stores in the Niagara region are all independently owned by members of the local community? We believe that pets are truly part of the family and are a source of joy in everyday homes around the world. Yet that living, loving experience usually doesn't happen all on its own, but takes extra effort to create and maintain. And we want you to know that the owners and staff at Global Pet Foods are always there to help you keep it going, any way we can, because we believe. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
This is Kevin He.
This is Brady Waslin.
This is Ethan Zadek.
This is Andre Loshko.
It's Owen Flores.
This is the Dog Pound Podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Dog Pound Podcast game recap right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live tonight on the YouTube channel and those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs 5-4 defeat at the hands of the geographical rival Erie Otters here on a Thursday night in front of 3,544 at the Meridian Centre. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our great reels and short content. Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame, we're going to, programming alert, we're going to be doing our monthly recap show on Monday live on our YouTube channel as well, going over the last month or so. No postgame following the game against London, but you look at their next stretch of games here, 10 games left in the season, and you're just wondering where they can possibly, until Owen Flores comes back, or if he is healthy, where they can pick up some points here and finally clinch that playoff spot, because you'd think they need about 2 or 3 wins here to make sure that they have enough buffer if Ottawa were to go on a run here. But you look at, excuse me, they've got North Bay, they've got Erie again, who they play well. They've got Ottawa and North Bay again before the end of the season. They play Barrie twice in there, which are going to be tough. London, Kingston, Brampton. So you'd say about half of the opponents right there that there are games that you can circle in and say, you know what, the IceDogs can pick up the points needed, to clinch their first playoff berth since 2018-19.
Well, they're 15 points up on Ottawa. So, I mean, that would be, they'd have to lose every game, essentially, for that to happen. And given the opponents that they're going up against, it's not outside the realm of I would think that it all depends on Flores' injury. I think that really changes things. But one of the biggest games is going to be at Sudbury too, because they still have a 4-point advantage with their Sudbury has 2 games in hand on 7th place, and I think. I mean, honestly, any of the 4 are going to be really tough to go up against in terms of Brantford, Barrie, Oshawa, and Kingston. I don't even know who they would want. Barrie struggled a little bit, but they're such a deep team, and the IceDogs kind of don't match up well with them. It's going to be very tough. The first round, no matter what, is going to be tough. I guess Kingston is probably their best shot, but Brampton is just on an absolute run here. That Brampton, who was trailing all season long, now has a 4-point lead on the IceDogs. So, yeah, the Sudbury game is pretty massive. But then you have some, North Bay is another one, too. I mean, they still have a 10-point lead on North Bay. If they can beat North Bay, then they've essentially, I would say, guaranteed at least 7th, right? But yeah, I mean, it's
2 games versus
2 games. Sorry, 2 games, which that's essentially, yeah. If they can win those games, that is massive, right? But they dropping this one. That's
it's tough.
This Erie lineup is probably the easiest team that they are going to face. London, Sudbury, North Bay, Kingston, Barrie, then Erie again. So it's probably their easiest matchup for the next 5 games till they play Erie again. And at that point, Schaefer I don't think is coming back.
I'm not sure, but regardless, they'd get Tarrant and Spence back.
And Spence back. And then, and that would probably be a difference maker in that one, too. So it's not looking great. We talked on the last show that we did post-game recap, and in our monthly recap, they had to have the Ottawa and Owen Sound games, and they just didn't. And because, if they had 4 points right now, they're tied with Brampton for 5th, and really essentially 20 points up on a playoff spot, right? So it would have been much different. So I don't know. This is going to be tough. They're going to have to get out of it, though, and just get into the postseason. The good thing is that everything goes back to 0 in the postseason. If they get Flores back, I think that they'll feel real good.
yeah, you'd want them to at least start to get their footing again instead of limping in, going on a massive losing streak here going into the playoffs. And again, this one just stings a little bit more because you mentioned an undermanned lineup up front for Erie and the fact that they had a 3-0 lead to start the game. So let's hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau and his post-game comments, brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here's what the IceDogs head coach had to say following his team's performance here tonight against the Erie Otters and how they can get out of this current funk. Well, Coach, I know it's hard to take positives after this long losing streak continues, but really strong game tonight. Does it hurt even more knowing that you guys really could have came away with the 2 points tonight, having a 3-0 lead?
Yeah, well, I think it hurts a little bit more. I mean, that was our time to kind of end things right there. And but you know, it's tough when you're losing. It seems like every little mistake is magnified, and you grip your stick, and your confidence is, you know, at a low. And you know, you have a 3-0 lead, and typically we'd shut that out. And to lose 5-4, you know, for your 12th loss in a row, no way to cut it. It's painful.
And after the game last night, knowing sound that you would want to have back, obviously you go back with Humphreys tonight. He makes that big save, that sprawling glove save. And how do you think number 82 gave you guys a chance tonight in this game?
Well, I mean, you look at, I'm just saying, even going back to Owen Sound, like we played great against Kingston, and you know, you look up and, well, you know, it's tough, right? The scoreboard, and same thing in Owen Sound. You look up and you got 40 shots to their 19, and the scoreboard. I'm not faulting that on anybody in particular. It just seems like the things that were going in for us at the beginning of the year aren't anymore, and the things that were being saved right now seem like they're finding a way to go in. And like, again, I'm not placing fault in anybody. It's just the way it's kind of going. And unbelievable effort in the first. Really bad frame in the second as far as mentality, and 7 minors is not a recipe for success. So we took one period off. It ended up costing us a game.
Some guys positives tonight breaking through. Kevin finally came through again with the goal touch. You had Levin get on the board, as well as Paris and Galyanov after a long slump in the goal department. So are you hoping that these guys can kind of carry some momentum getting on the board, and you're going to have the toughest of opponents coming in here on Saturday?
Yeah, you know, hey, let's see what happens. You know, I know London's been beat before, and it seems like it's a really tall mountain to climb right now, but you can't go in there with an attitude you know, that you're not going to do it, or they'll buy into that. So, you know, we got to find a way to prepare and play the right way, and see where we go from there.
You have a takeaway from the fact that you gave up 5 unanswered, but then you came back, you got within 1, you had a chance with the goalie pulled, and really gave it all they had out there on a back-to-back, not the easiest thing to do. So how would you assess, you guys able to kind of try to at least make that a game right there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for moral victories, you know, I get that, but you know, at this point of the season, we're not really looking for moral victories. We want results, and you get a 3-0 lead and it ends up 5 straight. I mean, on home ice, it's you got to find a way to do something about it.
And lastly, like in the room, what's the mood amongst the guys, knowing that it's hard going through adversity in a stretch like this? 12 games, you're limping around into the playoffs, and you know these are valuable learning experiences for this very young group. But what's your message to those guys in there going through such a tough stretch here after what you guys did, all the positive things in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't won in over a month. It's painful for anybody, and it's tough to stay up and motivated. There's no question about that, but we have no other choice but to do so. So nobody's going to feel sorry for ourselves, and we shouldn't either. We got to find a way to get back on the horse and make things right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. Cam, you can tell in his voice, very, frustrated because he knows that the team could have came away with the 2 points tonight if they would have put in the 60-minute effort.
Yeah, he's reiterating what we were talking about all game. Like, this was a game that they should have had. It was well in doubt, and like I said, you get a couple of saves that you kind of expect to get, and this one's probably put away pretty easily. Again, this is the situation that they're in, though, because again, you don't expect the backup goalie issue after the deadline. Flores gets hurt, and again, I think that's a learning experience for management and the team that going into next year where you have 2 very serious years for the franchise, and I would anticipate that they will have depth at all of the most important positions going into next year. But again, I don't want to harp on Humphreys. He doesn't have a choice, right? Like they have no other options. And at 16, this is again, if he was to be sprinkled in starts throughout the year where they're doing well, they're first in the conference, things like that. That's a complete different story, and he's set up to succeed. It's not like before Humphreys comes in these last few games, they were still the worst team in terms of goals against, given up with Flores in net. So that's on the defense. Tonight specifically was rough because they did do well enough to win.
Yeah, they did. And again, you mentioned, just being able to have that confidence and being able to learn from when you have a lead, because we've talked about this all year that the last 2 seasons especially, they haven't really had leads. They haven't learned how to win with having leads, and this one was just a tough one tonight, and kind of a microcosm of what we've seen this season, of that this team is still very young and still very inexperienced. You'd hope that if they get in this scenario next year, that they'd be able to come out of this on the better half and the better side of it, with all these great young talented players that they have and that they believe in the next 2 years. And I think it was fitting that the Memorial Cup was on display tonight here in the Carlsberg Lounge. That 2027 bid still a possibility here.
It'd be huge, and obviously they've got a pretty big mountain to climb with Kitchener. Just because of the history of that building, probably the best, one of the most the best atmospheres in the CHL. But the IceDogs and the Meridian Centre in St. Catharines have an unbelievable facility, and I really hope that, given the lineup of their team and the window, that they've got a real shot at it. And I'm really excited for that.
So before we get out of here, we're going to put Cam on the spot with our stick tab of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man. Pro Stock hockey sticks from major junior teams right up to NHL teams for half the retail price. Stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission of saving hockey families money. Cam, who's your IceDogs player of the game tonight?
You know what? In my opinion, again, not always going with the box score, Jack Brody was one of the best skaters. I noticed it from the very beginning. His breakouts and ability with the puck. You look at his point totals this year as well. Like, that's an underrated trade, and he's going to be on the team during the championship window. The defense is going to change quite a bit, I would hazard a guess, over the next 2 years. But Brody's going to be a big part of it, and he's going to be a pretty integral part on the offensive side of things. But also want to give a shout out to Humphreys. Those 2 saves that he made on the 2-on-0 and that unreal sprawling save we are going to get to see on the OHL social media feed for quite some time. So you got to give the props to him there. Again, not the strongest game for him, but those 2, you see flashes of what he's able to do, just like in his debut with the team. His ability to make the big save is there, which means the potential's there. He just needs to lock down the easier ones.
Can't wait for him to get his first career win, because he really deserves it.
I think the whole team is excited for him. That's the one thing is, this team is still, loves when they succeed, and they're all not succeeding right now. And I think that when that first win happens, they get off the schneid as a team, but they're also going to get him his first win. So,
Ivan Gallianov, a goal and assist tonight. You like to see that, because again, he's gone through some really rough stretches this year, getting his 8th goal of the season and chipping in with an assist as well.
Definitely a disappointing season for him on the offensive side of things, but I will say that when the lineup is full and he's not thrust into a position where he is maybe not, top 6, maybe isn't best suited for his role, it's nice to see when he gets easier minutes and he can kind of flash because he's better than other teams, bottom 6 players.
And a good game for Kevin Heath tonight.
Unreal, top to bottom. Like, he was doing everything he could as a captain.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for our IceDogs game recap here on the Dog Pound Podcast. Again, programming alert, no post-game recap after the game against London. We will be live for our monthly recap show on Monday afternoon. Stay tuned for those details. We're going to have IceDogs owner Darren DeDobler on the show to give us a state of the IceDogs here as we get into the last month of the regular season before we hit playoff time. So again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in live on our YouTube channel and those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platforms. For Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's it. Erie Otters 5, Niagara IceDogs 4 on a Thursday night at the Meridian Centre in front of 3,544 were in attendance. So until next time, we'll talk to you again very soon.